Hello booktube and welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah. This is Aussie SFF sci-fi and fantasy channel, and I'm coming today with a review of Abaddons Gate, number 3 in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. Here we go. In honor of Vlogmas, I thought I'd do individual reviews of books from as I read them, basically. If this is successful, if this is something that people like. I know some of my reviews are quite popular, but that has been my slightly controversial reviews. This one is not controversial in the least. I loved this book. I've loved all 3 books that I've read in this series so far. Just an alert, because this is the 3rd book in the series, there will be spoilers. I try not to spoil the actual book itself, but because there are events that have already happened, I will try not to spoil the events of the actual book that I'm reviewing, but in order to review it, I've got to talk about it a bit. But because there are already books that have already happened, I need to talk about those events. So if you have not read books 1 and 2 or haven't watched some of the series, you may want to do that first. And then come back, because I love talking about my books. In this book, like previous books, we have the chapters done with certain people. These are our main characters for the book. We have James Holden, the captain of the Roccante, or the Rocky, who has been in books 1 and 2. We are introduced to some new characters in this one. We have the Methodist, I think she is, Pastor Anushka Vovoldov, and I think I've messed that one up, who goes by Anna, and she is a doctor in theology, I think. We have Carlos C. de Baca, who is the head of security on the OPA ship, which is the Behemoth. The Behemoth, which is the seized and illegally taken Mormon generation ship from the 1st book. I think it was in the 1st book, not the 2nd. It's definitely in the first end of the 1st season. He goes by Bull. He is the head of security. He is an Earther, as is Holden, and as are Holden and Anna. Actually, they're all Earthers in this one. This is interesting. And finally, we have Clarissa Mao, who for most of the book is moonlighting as an electrical engineer with a new name, Melba Co. This follows these 4 characters and the side characters within that. The proto-molecule has thrown out the ring system from Venus out, not system, it has constructed on Venus. Venus being where Eros crash landed with its single occupant, I think single alive occupant being Miller in the 1st book. But Miller has actually made contact some weird way, we're not sure how, with Holden at the end of the previous book, at which point I went, I need the next one, and I've actually ordered the next one already. It should be on its way any day now. That was book 2. I've ordered book 4 on its way. The proto-molecule has sent this ring system out past the orbit of Uranus, and and it gets activated when I can't remember what the nickname is for them, but this kid basically gets this hopped up scrapper ship, and gravity flings himself through it. It's in the very first chapter. It's not much of a spoiler. It doesn't go well for him. So we then follow the three sets of political warring factions, which is the Earthers, Mars, and the OPA, the Outer Planetary Alliance, out to this ring that has been activated. So we've got the Behemoth going out there, which is the Mormon generation ship that's been refitted in a very ad hoc, quick sort of way to become a battleship. We've got the Prince, can't remember, Prince something ship, which has a whole heap of Earthers with a mess of religious leaders, which is where Anna comes in. Religious leaders, poets, artists, and it's a bit of a political junket. And it also has my favourite character from this book, Tilly, and she is a incredibly verbose, short-tempered, slightly alcoholic, chain-smoking, very rich woman who has been allowed a place on this ship because of her money and how much money she gives to one of her husband's friends who is in political power. I love her. She is fantastic. She is my favourite character so far in this. Oddly enough, I also like the Indian lady in the second book. I have a character type that I like in women, and it's ones that take charge and are powerful and broker no arguments and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people that would say that I aspire to be like that. Then we have the Mars faction, and no one's really representing the Mars faction in this book. Clarissa has managed to con her way in with falsified documents saying that she is Melba Coe and that she is a electrical engineer, I think, and working on the systems between many different boats, including the Prince. She is planning her sabotage, basically, of not just Holden and his crew, but the whole of the expedition out there to besmirch his name and then murder him as well, so that he is remembered as a coward and as a politically bad figure. Finally, we have Bull, or Carlos. He is the head of security on the Behemoth, the OPA ship, and he is an Earther. So Fred, can't think of Fred's name, the head of the OPA, basically really would have preferred him to be the captain, but he put Ashford in as the captain because he was a belter and thought that would be a better political move, that they would prefer listening to a belter than listening to an Earther. Belter being someone who grew up in the asteroid belt. They come to the ring, and things occur that mean that a whole heap of people and ships and our four main characters end up going through the ring and find themselves in the slow zone, which is basically a transfer station between a whole heap of different rings. And during this time, Holden is still in contact with Miller, and we're starting to realize that Miller isn't Miller anymore. He is a construct made by the people who made the proto-molecule. I say people, entities. And it's a way to make contact with humankind. This book, I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I think it's because I kind of know what's expected of it, and it just didn't quite get up to the level. It's incredibly good. It's not as good as book 2, I would say. That being said, it is still a really, really good book, worthwhile reading, and I will be reading the next one. It is action-packed. I was at the halfway point, and in any normal novel, the amount of action that was happening would indicate the end of a novel. And that was 250 pages in. It was really, it's obvious that it's worked on and polished really well. That being said, I kind of wanted Tilly to have her own chapters so that we could see what she was doing, but she wouldn't have furthered the story much. I just like her. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5, really good read. If you like sci-fi, that would be fantastic for you to read. I would thoroughly recommend the Expanse series. Some of the best sci-fi I've read in a very long time. And that's it for that review. Thank you for watching my this Vlogmas video. If you liked it, hit thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit me up in the comments section below. Whatever you want to talk about, your favorite sci-fi, anything. All my social media is down below as well. And I will see you next time. Happy reading. Bye.